It's time to go on mission with Malone. Malone Roofing, Metal Walls, and Maintenance is one of the country's largest contractors, existing every day to improve our communities one job at a time. Get ready to go behind the scenes and hear from the people that make it happen for Malone, and meet the amazing people that Malone work with every day. Here's your host, Malone Marketing Director, Josh West.
I am Josh West, and you are indeed on mission with Malone. And really, On Mission has become somewhat of a mission control. We're here live in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, battening down the hatches, so to speak, as here comes Tropical Storm Barry, and the word is that this could be yet another unprecedented rain event, very similar to the flooding that we saw with Harvey in 2016. And we're joined by Stuart Ross of our Baton Rouge, New Orleans, Louisiana divisions. And Stuart, we've got Jean standing by. We've got Wes standing by. We're going to get reports by phone from them in a moment. But this is certainly a situation that people are taking seriously, but I don't know if anyone really knows what to expect. Just want to get your thoughts on just kind of the feel in the area right now, and kind of report on you yourself, the division, and the guys right now up ahead of this storm, as people are trying to take care of their personal business to make sure that they can take care of our clients now over the coming days and weeks.
Well, Josh, we have our guys all staged in different areas. They've gotten all their material for their vans. We've asked them to top off all their fuel for their generators. We have existing work that's out there that we're having to take care of, hopefully to get them watertight before some of this rain comes in. In fact, we go buy these tarps for catching rain inside buildings if it's coming through already, to protect their equipment or furniture. We have some of the guys on the road that are actually responding to some existing issues. As you mentioned before, a couple of the guys are already out there and are on site investigating. Really, at the office, it's going to be a bare place to be. We already have the men out in the field. I personally am going to join some of these guys and check up on them, make sure they have everything they need. I think we're well equipped. We're taking care of our current needs. With storm readiness, there's always going to be those unknowns. We're going to run into traffic issues. We're aware of that. We know where a lot of those clog areas are, where low water areas are, which is a big deal around Baton Rouge, for example. We've had some issues where cars even flooded, so we need to stay away from that. And you referenced Harvey. We actually took in an inch of water in our own shop, but we still continue to service our customers.
He is Stuart Ross of our Baton Rouge division. Josh West here with you in Baton Rouge, just ahead of Tropical Storm Barry, and that is Tropical Storm Barry with max sustained winds at 50 miles an hour as we record this. Could be a hurricane when it makes landfall tomorrow. And so there's so many unknowns with this, and you mentioned all the precautions that you try to game plan for and put in place. What can you not game plan for? What do you have to really just kind of feel on the fly? And how can you make those adjustments on the fly if maybe it's a little worse than expected?
Well, Josh, I mean, what's unknown is unknown. So sometimes we just have to learn to adapt. As I mentioned before, we do make sure we try to have all the proper materials, fuel, water. Just any little thing. We try to make sure our guys are safe, make sure that their own homes are taken care of before we get out and get prepared for our customers, which we've already taken care of that. We'll have people in the right places, especially since we have an office in New Orleans. Our Alexandria office handles Lafayette and the Lake Charles area, and then, of course, Baton Rouge handling the eastern part of the state as well. We can't forget our Jackson, Mississippi office that covers the northern part of the state along Monroe and Shreveport. So as far as the Louisiana market goes, I think we have it covered. The best we can do is have our guys ready, have all our material, make sure everybody's safe, have our phone lines open. So if anybody needs some immediate assistance, we can try to respond the best we can. Obviously, a lot of what we would do would be dependent on how active the storm is. In this particular case, they are predicting possible Category 1 hurricane when it hits landfall, but the biggest problem is going to be water. So We have to be aware of those low water areas. We're familiar where those areas are and somewhat how to navigate them. A lot of what we may have to do may have to wait till after the storm subsides and passes through. Again, we'll be prepared to respond quickly to that, and if need be, we can pull crews and teams from our outlying areas that may not be as affected by this storm as we are. So with that being said, I think we're totally prepared.
He is Stuart Ross. We're going to go to the phones now. We've got Jean Perot standing by. Jean, with our Baton Rouge division as well as New Orleans division, and also, again, this Louisiana team, there's a lot of moving parts in terms of what markets everybody can service. And Louisiana is just so much about family and so much about the culture and everybody just kind of taking care of one another. Jean actually took a couple of days ago a chance to get down to Grand Isle. Jean, how are you? How is everything going with you personally getting ready for this storm? And I know you're on the road right now for Malone, going to a job, but kind of give us an update about you and the guys and how everything is coming together ahead of this storm.
Started with a voluntary evacuation of Grand Isle on Wednesday. As of yesterday, it made it a mandatory evacuation only due to the high waters crossing the road, and if something medically happens, to not be able to get in there to get people down in Grand Isle and down on the coast. As far as my guys are, everybody's pretty nipped and tucked. We're pretty safe on it. I'm heading to Lake Charles at this moment to go walk a roof for one of our customers just to make sure there's nothing loose up there that can blow off and make more damage. All the doors on the ACs are secured. It's just one of the things we do precautionary. I got guys at another complex today in Baton Rouge looking at the roof, trying to nip and tuck a few little loose items to prevent any leakage on their brand new building.
Jean, this is shaping up to really be an unprecedented rain event. They're talking about, perhaps to the levels of Hurricane Harvey in 2016. How is that going to affect response time? How is that going to affect travel time? I know if this is going to be an unprecedented flood situation, there's only so much we can do with those floodwaters. Our hands are really tied, aren't they?
Yes and no. I think the city and the state is taking more precautionary measures to not have this issue. So it will be the time being. We don't want the guys out in the middle of this, but they'll be ready to go as soon as it clears out.
Jean, you talk about the response time and having the guys ready to go. Is this really an all-hands-on-deck situation?
Yes, everybody's ready. I mean, I've got a guy in Laplace, which is on this side of the Montgomery Spillway. He brought some extra tools and material home in his personal vehicle. I have a guy in Metairie, two men in Metairie, two vans in Metairie to handle the New Orleans, Kenner, West Bank stuff. I have one of my guys out of Baton Rouge office lives on the North Shore, the Hammond, Covington area, to try to cover all the North Shore area, and have another guy in Baton Rouge to try to handle everything else. Hopefully we don't have to do all that, but it's better to be safe than sorry.
Well, Jean, you stay safe out there. First and foremost, take care of yourself so you can take care of our clients, as you know you will. We appreciate you. We'll be back in touch next week. And again, just appreciate your time.
All right. Y'all have a good one.
That was Jean Perot. Josh West here with you in Baton Rouge alongside Stuart Ross. Stuart, you just heard from Jean talking about the preparations. He's on his way to Lake Charles right now to work on an emergency call. Just a lot going on right now, and it's certainly a heightened sense of focus for all the guys. But again, we've got Wes on the line. Wes is taking care of some personal stuff. We'll hear from him in a moment. But we heard from Jean. The guys have an opportunity to take care of their property, to take care of their families. We talk a lot in Malone about family first. The guys are making sure that the guys that are underneath them, their families, their belongings, that everything is taken care of so that they're able to mentally take care of our customers. What does it mean for you to work for a company that allows guys to be able to take the time to take the steps to make sure that they're okay?
Well, Josh, the Malones are a close-knit family themselves, so they understand what family means. One example I have in mind is we have a gentleman that was flooded back in 2016 from Harvey, and he is actually going to be visiting our office in just a little while to get one of our large trailers to bring to his house to actually remove furniture out of his home because he took on flood waters back in 16. So he's trying to avoid all the damage. So having access to the equipment and allowing our employees to use some of our stuff. Now, granted, if it's equipment that we need for this emergency response, we have to be prepared. Nevertheless, we're supportive of those people, and they're doing their best, and we'll, like any family, we'll help each other out, and we're confident that our guys are going to be well taken care of.
Let's go back to the phones and get another report from the road as we check in with Wes Gautreaux now of Alexandria, Louisiana. Wes, I know that this is certainly a time for you where you're trying to make sure everything personally is taken care of, making sure everything is where it needs to be ahead of this, what could be a really incredible water situation with this storm. Kind of give us your report. Let us know how you are, want to know how the guys are, want to know how everything is coming together to be ready in your area.
Oh, yeah, we're just catching up on all of our day-to-day stuff so that we'll be basically clear after this afternoon to take any emergency calls that we get.
Man, that's great to hear, Wes. Secondly, how are the guys doing? I know they're taking some time maybe perhaps to get their stuff together, get their families prepared, get their property prepared. How is everybody doing, and how is everybody kind of just getting ready for this?
Yeah, I mean, we're in North Louisiana. About Central, so we're not usually flood problems, but I'm letting all my guys take the vans home with all their equipment and boated down so when they can leave, they don't have to try to make it through town to get to where they got to go.
Once again, they're saying this could be an unprecedented rain event. First and foremost, we're wanting to keep our guys safe so that we can help others out there. But if travel is an issue, is it going to be rough traveling? Could that delay response times?
Yeah, that's the main thing. I mean, we can work in the rain, we can get around it, but it's just the streets to get there. Lafayette's had flooding issues as of late, and sometimes Lake Charles Interstate will get flooded. I mean, that's really our only blockage is just not being able to get there.
Even though there could be flooding, even though the winds could be in a situation and the water could be in a situation where people think to themselves that obviously in their minds we can't get to them at the moment, do they still need to call? Do they still need to get in line, so to speak, where they've kind of got their notch in the line where they can be gotten to in a proper manner?
Yeah, and as soon as everything clears, we'll make it there. I mean, when it gets to a hurricane, sometimes the rain's so bad where, we'll work in the rain as long as there's not lightning, but at some point it gets to where you can't, nothing you're going to put on their sticks and you just can't do anything. So it's kind of a waiting game until the sky clears and then you take off,
Wes, as John and Stuart both said, it is an all-hands-on-deck situation, and you try to be as prepared as possible. What else do you do to try to just go that extra mile to be as ready as you possibly can be?
Just to make sure all our materials are in the vehicles, we're fully loaded down because, sometimes supply houses run out depending on how bad things are, or they don't open, or, so we just kind of get, buy a bunch of tarps, buy a bunch of things from everywhere because, they could be bought out in no time. So we'll usually take about half an afternoon off to kind of make sure everything's loaded down and we don't have to go to any storage for the next couple of days.
Wes, we thank you so much for your time. Stay safe out there. We appreciate you, and we appreciate all you do for Malone and all you do for your clients.
Thank you, man.
Stuart, that was Wes Gautreaux up in Alexandria. You heard his thoughts on getting ready for this. I also heard the calm in his voice. This is not our first rodeo. These guys have been through things like this before. And plus, everybody being from this area, this is not an annual thing, but it's certainly something that unfortunately is more common than we want to think about. And so you've got to keep a level head about you. The guys are focused. They're ready. It's something that you kind of mentally prepare for well ahead of time. I know the guys are certainly going to be very responsive, and our thoughts and prayers are with Jean and with Wes and with all the guys and you and your family. But, mentally, the guys are ready.
Absolutely, mentally they're ready. This is something that they do day in and day out. So, like you said, it isn't their first rodeo. However, the way we do business doesn't change a whole lot. There just might be a little bit more urgency involved. Wes, fortunately, is a little bit north of us. He will experience a lot of the rain. However, I believe he's ready to come support us, not only in New Orleans, but in Baton Rouge as well, and vice versa. Like I said earlier, we have vehicles that are mobile, fueled, and ready to go. So whatever needs anybody has in just about any city in the state, we're ready to come help them out.
He is Stuart Ross. We're here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, on mission with Malone ahead of Tropical Storm Barry's landfall here in South Louisiana. You mentioned about just Wes being ready to respond and come down and support, but I know that we've got a lot more divisions: Birmingham, Mobile, Pensacola, Hattiesburg, Jackson. Everybody has an eye on this situation. There are a lot of resources. There's a lot of manpower. If there needs to be a whole lot more mobility to this area, especially in the days and weeks immediately following this storm for those emergency needs, there's a lot of people that can step up to the plate. It's got to be exciting to know that you've got just the resources of this company behind you, and you've already had a lot of those conversations knowing that the backing is there from top to bottom.
Absolutely. This is a regional company throughout the Southeast, and I'd be remiss with this storm bearing down on us. The Gulf Coast of Mississippi will experience some of this as well, and we have an office in Hattiesburg, Mississippi, as well as Pensacola and Mobile. So those guys would be ready to respond when needed, and it's real comforting to know that we have those people in close proximity. They're geared up. It's been a bulletin put out company-wide to be ready. In fact, no matter where you are, you're free to call 1-833-7-MALONE. If you are having any problems throughout the Gulf Coast region, we'll be happy to respond the best we can. Again, that phone number is 1-833-7-MALONE. Going back to the Gulf Coast, Gulfport, Biloxi, that area, if we have hands that are free, we can respond to that area as they need as well. So we welcome the phone call, and just know that we will do our best to get there, provided the storm is not preventing us to be mobile.
Stuart, I had to kind of nail your feet to the floor to pin you down for just a few moments to get this. You're about to bust out of the door, heading to a series of calls throughout the rest of the day. But we appreciate your time. As we mentioned just before we recorded this, a message that needed to get out to the people. We appreciate it. Thank you so much. And again, be safe out there. And thank you so much for what you do for Malone.
Josh, thank you. We feel it's very important for people to be aware that we are here to help them out.
He is Stuart Ross. Again, to reiterate that phone number, 1-833-7-MALONE, MALONE. The website is ecmalone.com. You can click right on that page through your mobile device, tablet, or through your actual laptop computer, and you can make a dispatch directly off of our website as well. And we just appreciate you listening in and getting the report of what is going on around the state of Louisiana with Malone ahead of Tropical Storm Barry. For Stuart Ross, for Jean Perreault, for Wes Gautreaux, as well as Rich Fasano, who we failed to mention, who's holding things down in our New Orleans branch, I'm Josh West. You've been on mission with Malone. Again, we want to remind you, stay safe out there. Take care of you and your health and your family. If it's something that can be replaced, remember, it can be replaced. And if you need us, just reach out. We're right there to get to you as soon as possible. Until next time, probably next week, back here in Louisiana, I'm Josh West, and you've been on mission with a special Tropical Storm Barry report here from Baton Rouge.
You've been listening to On Mission with Malone, the podcast of Malone Roofing, Metal Walls, and Maintenance. For more information about Malone, go to ecmalone.com or call 1-833-7-MALONE. On Mission with Malone has been a production of Malone Media.